everybody. Welcome back to Dr. Guy's Gumbo Talk. Today is, you know what, I'm trying to keep up with my days, and it's really sad because I have to look at the calendar every single time on my computer. Today is April 19th, and we are, you guys, almost 2 months into sheltering in place for some of us dealing with this COVID-19. And so I just want to remind everyone about staying in. Please, if you're not an essential worker and you don't have to go out for necessities, please remember to stay in and save a life. I know it's redundant. We keep hearing it. We keep saying it, but yet people keep ignoring it. So I'm going to say it again. Please stay in. Now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into our topic today. But as always, I have to introduce my co-host. Hey, Steve. Uh-oh, did we lose Steve? Let's check and see if we have
How you doing today?
We couldn't hear you for a minute, Steve.
Yeah. Everything's lovely on this wonderful Sunday. You know, I'm in North Carolina where the birds are chirping and the sun is out.
Oh, you know what? Normally I hear the birds in the country because they're really loud, but I don't hear them today.
Yeah, I got the window
closed. You must be
closed.
somewhere deep in the house. Oh, okay. All right. Hey, Fatima.
Hi, Dr. Guy. I'm just living large and taking charge, quarantining, and just trying to live my best life. I'm ready. I think I'm going to be a little controversial today, but I'm here for it.
Oh, okay. Well, since everybody has kind of been doing their own things, sheltering in place, and we got a lot going on. Are you guys up to anything new? Like, how are you maintaining your sanity? Because it would be absolutely impossible for me not to talk about a little bit about, before we get into our topic, people maintaining their mental and their emotional health. So anything that you guys are doing to kind of do that, keep yourself busy, occupied, or not doing anything at all?
I can't lie. I mean, this is just like the procrastinator in me. This is like my procrastinator's dream because, no, I'm not doing anything special. I'm just really deeply hunkered down, and I'll be honest, today is the first day that I combed my hair, and in a month since I've been sheltered in place. And actually, it had gotten so ridiculous that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and cut it all off because I don't want to be bothered with it. But my mom told me that I don't have a face for short hair, and I couldn't pull that look off. So I decided to go ahead and wash it. And so there we go.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I think you said that some weeks ago, and I was like, no, Fatima, don't do it. Don't do it. So I'm glad that you changed your mind. I'm glad that you were able to comb your hair this week. That sounds good. Self-care. Steve, what are you up to? Steve's having technical difficulties. 1 minute we can hear him, the next minute we can't. Okay, hopefully we can get Steve back.
So the world hasn't stopped for me. I'm taking classes. I'm considered essential in some of the businesses and hustles that I conduct. And, currently I am possibly price gouging on some products on eBay, but we won't discuss that.
Always a capitalist at heart, Steve. I understand.
Yes.
It's who you are.
Definitely.
Okay. So, you know what, you guys, I have, people that know me know that I have been adverse to social media for a very long time. And so up until last year, I literally just didn't log on to Facebook, and I had the same Facebook picture for 5 years before I changed it. And so I am charging myself with getting more engaged with my social media platform. So this is what I have decided to do, in my sheltering in place, even though I'm still working, I am still doing therapy, I am still teaching online, so that part of my life has not changed. But what I am doing now is definitely spending more time engaged in social media. And I have to say, it's not that bad, you guys. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. I said this on King Charles' show, topic of the week yesterday, that I am absolutely addicted to TikTok, and I'm probably going to need treatment afterwards, because once I log on, that's it. I'm just literally logging through and scrolling and giggling at all of these videos. But what I'm also doing, and I want all of my listeners to make sure you listen to this very closely, I want you, if you have not, which I doubt it, I want you to go to my YouTube page and subscribe today. It is Dr. Tanisha Guy. I am getting ready to start uploading videos. Also, we are going to be uploading all of our old Blog Talk videos. So if you missed them, because they were good, we're going to be uploading all of those old Blog Talk shows onto YouTube. So if you missed the old Dr. Guy Gumbo talk shows, and I mean like some years back, we're going to be uploading those shows. I'm going to be posting some new videos. So make sure you guys today, while you're on your phones and computers, go to YouTube and subscribe to my channel. And if you have not already done this as well, follow me on Instagram at Dr. Tanisha Guy, so you can get some updates there as well. So I'm excited about me getting more engaged in my social media platforms, you guys. Looking forward to it. So we're going to go ahead and get right into our topic today, which is, and Fatima, thank you, because the topic came about from a post that you saw on Facebook. So our topic today is, when in a relationship, do other people's positions change in your life? If that doesn't make a lot of sense, I'm going to explain how we came about that. And so, Fatima, can you describe the picture that you saw on Facebook?
Yes, it was a picture of women who, I guess, represent different women's roles in a man's life. So there was his wife, a picture of his daughter, a picture of his mother, and a picture of his sister, and then a picture of his quote-unquote baby mama. And so the question was asking which one comes first, and sort of like how do you arrange the list? Who's in what order? And so most of the people responded, well, it's already in order. It's the wife, the daughter, the mom, the sister, then the baby mama. Some people were saying, why is the baby mama even on the list at all? She don't have a place here. Some people talked about, religion and, the way God wants things ordered and stuff like that. But by and large, the consensus for everyone was that either the baby mom is dead last or she doesn't belong on the list at all. And I had a different take on that.
Okay, you want to go ahead and give your take on which one, if you were putting them in order, you would see coming, first, last?
Yes. So if I were putting it in order, I would put the wife first, the daughter second, and then depending on the context, I'd put the baby mama third or fourth behind his mom. And then I would put the sister last. And I say this as someone who is a sister. I have two older brothers. And while I don't have any children, so I'm not speaking as a baby mama trying to move myself up the list because I don't have any children. But I say this because to me, one, definitely I think that context matters, and I think that a lot of people have this knee-jerk reaction to automatically being against the baby mama. But I don't understand how you can have a child with someone but not have feel some level of, I don't know if responsibility is the right word, but that person holds some level of importance in your life. It's one thing if these are grown children, but if these are small children and you're co-parenting, I can't see how it would make sense to say the baby mama is always last or not on the list. So if your baby mama is in a position where she's struggling, are you just going to ignore that situation? So you just going to let her cry herself to sleep at night laying next to your baby? Instead of be like, well, you last on my list. My sister wants to go to Jamaica, and I know you just lost your job, but you last on the list, so I'm going to give this money to my sister so she could go turn up and get her groove back in Jamaica. Like, that's just crazy to me. So I absolutely think that the baby mama should have a higher level on the list than dead last or not at all. I really do think that she should be third or fourth. Like, with your mom, depending on what's going on, maybe before or after his mom. But last, that doesn't seem right to me.
So I know I want to get Steve in. So, Steve, I'm about to ask you what order would you put it in. But before that, Fatima, I just want to know, would you leave the order the same if this was a woman we were talking about? So her order would be the same, like her baby daddy would come in the same place? Or is this just if this was a man and his baby mama?
Okay, so if it was the man and his baby mama, and would his baby mama come before his mama and his sister?
No. If this was a woman and we were saying we were doing the same thing, but we were using a woman. So if we said, okay. Who comes first? Is it her husband, her child, her mother, her sister, or her or son or sister, any child, or her baby daddy? Would you leave the order the same if we were referencing a woman instead of a man?
You know what? I would leave the order the same because I think that, again, they are co-parenting this child. And so there are things that they need to be on one accord with and in some ways need to kind of have each other's backs. And so if she's just like, he's last, I don't have nothing to do with what's going on with him, I don't understand how you can be 100% for your kid but 0% for your kid's parent. Hello?
Fatima, can you hear me?
Yes.
So you would leave it the same, male or female, no difference?
I would leave it the same. I think you cannot be 100% for your kid and 0% for your kid's parent. That doesn't make sense to me. I need somebody to make that make sense for me.
Okay. All righty. Let's see what Steve thinks. Steve, what order would you put them in?
Well, first of all, based on the criteria that we're going by, I don't even feel like women should be commenting on what order I put anybody in. Like you just should support me and roll what I'm saying. I don't really think I should be entertaining who you think should go where. That's the first part. So, secondly, I know we've got some biases, and the future Dr. Muse not having any baby daddy, baby mamas, you don't understand these terrorists. And I'm not going to be 100% for my kid if I have that situation, and that's why it's that situation. Like, there are going to be some concessions that need to be made because it is a co-parenting, untraditional relationship. And I'm not going to be 100% because of the way the dynamic is set up. So, in regards to these scenarios and situations, I think, you played a very, you asked a very interesting question, as we look at these relationships, as we can actually get into from a male perspective, for those women who are daddy's girls, where does that come in? I think that we just have to look at it from the perspective of what we deal with. I don't think you should be telling me the order that I put the women in my life, and you should just be commenting on the men in your life. So that's just my opinion. And it's by case scenario. Some people have fallen out with their siblings or parents. Some people have great relationships with their children's mother. Some of them have terrible relationships. So, I don't think there's a standard that we need to go by about how it looks. It looks how it looks.
Okay. I definitely don't think that there's a standard, Steve. I think it is specific to every individual's lifestyle and the relationships that they have with people. I just want to remind our listeners, you guys, that you are welcome to comment, to ask questions. If you're listening online, if you have a question or a comment, you guys can call in. And the call-in number is 914-205-5902. You guys, I'm going to go to the phone lines. Let's see, at 618, you are on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Heidi.
Hey, Heidi.
Hey. So I just want to comment. I found this to be very interesting, but surprisingly, for the first time ever, I'm going to totally agree with Steve.
Why is that so difficult for you all to do? Come over to the dark side. We got cookies and milk and all kind of treats.
I am going to have to agree. I think that you shouldn't put people in that type of level or that standard where they should go, simply because every situation is different. Being that I'm a social worker and I work in family engagement and mostly deal with families who are blended or those who are baby mamas and baby fathers, those situations can be very different for every individual family. So there is some that co-parenting is going very well, and there is a respect factor, and that woman and that man understand what is going on when they've moved in. But then there is a lot of women out here, as well as men, that are very immature, and even if you wanted to make it 100% about the child, I would say probably less than 20% of families I've even worked with do make it about 100% of that child. So I really believe that it is about the individuals. Like he said, some of us not even be close to our mom or our siblings. Some of us may be close to them and some of us not. But, yeah, to put that in the level saying that the baby mama should be third or the baby father should be third would be very difficult for some situations. That's just my point.
What about, Heidi, before I let you go, I have a question. You guys, so obviously everyone is definitely going to rate these people in their lives very differently. I think when Fatima showed me the picture, I was like, oh, my goodness, this is definitely going to be an interesting topic to talk about. But here's my question. What happens if the person who's second in your life, and I'm going to use the male, for example, first. Let's say that he's married, and his number two is not his spouse or his child. His number two is his mother. Does that create conflict in relationships? And if so,
yes,
what type?
Yes, I do believe it can create some type of conflict. Like I said, working with a lot of families, I saw that has been a conflict because you have to be ready to take care of your home. So the responsibility of a man taking on children and a wife is making sure that the responsibility at home is taken care of. Yes, it's important to take care of your mom, but like I said, a lot of this has to deal with the maturity of the individuals, and a lot of us are just not there. I just really feel that even if your mom is 55 and she still feels that you her baby and you always be her baby, and therefore I don't care what woman comes in your life and what kid comes in your life, I want you to do what I need for you to do first. That is a sign of immaturity. and your emotional intelligence is not where it needs to be for someone at your age. So therefore, it will cause conflict, and it all comes down to, as an adult, responsible adults, are you willing to work out those conflicts to make the family unit work? And that's from just being in the field of, that's the educational side. Don't let me get into the religious side, because I grew up in an Islamic household, and it's very much like a Christian household. You cleave to your wife. That's just what we were brought up in. So, yes, you love your mama, but when you go get married and start a new family, you cleave to that family.
Can I jump in?
Feel free to.
DMV Haji, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Steve.
I'm going to jump out the window, as I always do, and say it's no different in a relationship where a woman is a daddy's girl. And she cleaves and holds on to her father despite her relationship with her man. So it's just the same situation for the man who has the woman who's a daddy's girl as the woman who has found herself dating a mama's boy.
No, Steve, I disagree.
Feel free.
I disagree, and you knew I was going to disagree. So, you guys, make sure you continue to listen, because the upcoming weeks, we're going to start doing some Facebook Live, so you guys can not only but hear us, but also see us during the show, because I hate to say it, but you'll be missing out on some facial expressions. So, everyone, I need you to see some stuff on my face after I hear some of the things that Steve says on the show. And I disagree, Steve, not because I'm biased, because I'm a daddy's girl, but I disagree.
You are? Oh, my God. Okay.
Whatever. I disagree because I still think that men who, if you're going to call women daddy's girls, men who are mama boys, their interaction is very different, I think, than women who are daddy's girls. I'm still an independent woman. I'm a daddy's girl, but I'm still an independent woman. I think there are some other characteristics and some traits that go along with mama's boys who put their mothers before everyone else. That's the only reason why I'm disagreeing.
Well, I'm not telling you it doesn't look different. I'm saying it's just as problematic.
Oh, okay.
It's just as uncomfortable for the man to be involved with the daddy's girl as it is for a woman to be involved with the mama's boy.
Correct.
Gotcha.
I'll take that.
I want to kind of respond. Steve and the caller were saying about, like, it's the individual, there's no one way, and in general I agree with that. We would have no show right now if we were just gonna take that view. Like, we definitely understand that there is no set right answer to this, or and we understand that I even mentioned context matters. So I understand that, people's individual relationships look different. And so maybe sometimes it could be not a good relationship with a parent, or the parent is deceased. All right. So I completely understand all these things look different. For the purposes of the photo that we're talking about, where there is a wife, a daughter, a mother, and a sister, that is specifically what I am speaking to. And since we are doing this topic in this show, my opinion is that it doesn't make sense to flat out say that the baby's mom goes last. That just doesn't make sense to me. And if this is a situation, a person who is someone that's like, oh, I'm there for my kid 100%, I'm there for my kid, whatever my kid needs, I'm there. But I don't know how you can say that and then say, but I'm going to ignore anything that's going on with the mom. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Because if...
Go ahead, Fatima.
Because if the mom is going through some type of difficult situation, as a parent, I would think that you would want your child to be in the best position that you can help them to be in. So if one of their parents is going through something or things aren't working out and you have the ability to help, to say, well, I'm not going to do that because she's last on my list or not on my list at all. I'm only doing, I just do for my kid. Screw this baby mama. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how you can be for your kid and not be for also for the person that gave them life.
But I understand
what necessarily have to make sense, and I think we need more insight into what are these situations. Are you talking about is the parent on drugs, or is she just a bad budgeter and is constantly asking for money? I think we need to highlight what these things are. And just because I have a baby mama, I'm not obligated to save her every time she makes a bad decision. There's some accountability involved in her being a parent as well. And just because she's not being accountable doesn't mean I'm going to allow her to create those situations that are going to cause me grief and problems.
Absolutely. Right. There is some accountability, and he is not always responsible to save her. Not always. But there might be some times where, yes, he should step in and help the baby mama, which is why I said to just flat out say she's always last on the list doesn't make sense, because there could be times where it's not right for her to be last on the list, because if you allow her to sink, you're really allowing your kid in a way to sink.
Well, Fatima, I think
I'll go back.
Hold up, Steve. Hold up for 1 second. I think the overall gist of the picture was definitely when people, at least when I saw it, and how would you rate these people? Who comes first? I think it's a general, like, who would they put first? But I'm sure in real life, right, because we're talking about what actually happens in real life, people do move around depending on the situation and what those needs are, right? So I think it's very different to say, oh, the baby mama is always going to go last forever. Doesn't matter what the situation is. But I don't think that that's what all people who are looking at the picture are going to say, because here's an example. What about you have a baby mother who is emotionally enmeshed with her ex? So she calls him all the time. She's very needy. This has nothing to do with money, but she's like, hey, every single time she needs to talk, she calls him. Every single time she needs to process, she calls him. So it's not that she needs money from him, but she's expecting to be in his life the same way, the daughter is, or have that same level of value. So in those circumstances, it would seem that maybe the baby mother would be lower down on the list because they're not in a relationship together. They're still able to co-parent. She's just emotionally needy and enmeshed with him. So in that situation, I could see it changing.
Absolutely. In that situation, I definitely can see it changing. And also because I think that sounds a little more like her trying to have some type of connection with him, which is more outside of the kid. So, yeah, in that situation, that would change. I guess when I saw people responding to it, it was just more, oh, no, she's always last, or why is she even on this list? She doesn't belong in the list at all. She's the baby mama is nothing. And I don't understand that thought process. Like, I don't think that people. Mm-hmm.
But I think that the people that were responding that way, they have a very good reason to respond, right? Most likely they've had situations where they have either been in relationships, dated, or married men with children, and the relationships with the baby mother was most likely estranged. Like, it was difficult. So for them, it was just easier to say, no, just to put her last. Like, she just caused so much problems or so many problems, she needed to go last on the list. Versus there are some who have baby mamas, and they are cordial with each other. They co-parent successfully. And so I'm sure for those individuals, that person might be a little bit higher on the list. They might even still classify each other as friends. But for the ones who have had a harsh road with some baby mamas, yeah, they probably just want her out of their life to please.
Out of hundreds of people who responded, I was the only one that said something other than the baby mama needs to be last or off the list. And honestly, and it was mostly women. But the guys who did respond said the same thing. But I think for women sometimes, and I don't know, I could be wrong, but it feels like it almost comes from a place of being territorial, or I don't know, some type of just something like against the baby mama. Like, okay, we all understand, yeah, there can be crazy baby mamas. I understand those situations exist, but it is also possible, look at Will and Jada and his baby mama. They get along fabulously. Him and his baby mama go on vacations without his wife. And
they have a different family They have a different family dynamic altogether, though. Like, I don't know.
Well, let's not get into Will and Jada as being the ideal of relationship.
Right.
That can turn left.
They have a different relationship.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying ideal, but I'm just saying it's possible for people to be adults and it not be adversarial, or this thing of like, oh, the baby mama, she gets nothing. Like, you know, if all things being well, so her mental health is well, she's stable, and all of this kind of stuff. You can't love this man and say you love his kid and not feel like, you know, have some kind of sense of wanting to have some type of relationship with that kid's mother, because their mother is their post to the world. And so that's the part that doesn't make sense to me. You love him and you love his baby, but shit on her?
Okay, so here's a comment for you, Fatima. One of our male listeners said, the responsibility is to the child, not the baby mother. If she needs cigarette money, it's not my problem. The reason she is last is because it is just her. The list had the child separate from the mother. So, and this is a male response saying that you can put the child first, which, before the mother, but because they're two separate people, it is very possible to still have that place for the child and her be later on in the list. That's from one of our male listeners.
Well, some of these men are men like Steve who talk about, only want to pay $25 in child support.
I don't see how that's relevant.
I'm really, it's very relevant. It's very relevant because we had a show about that, and what I am speaking to is, of course, I'm not talking about paying for her cigarette habit. Like, I'm not talking about that, but I gave a very specific example of, like, if the baby mama has lost her job, and more often than not, these mothers are the custodial parent. So if there's something huge going on with her that's going to impact your kid, I don't understand how you can just say, but that's baby mama, she last on the list. That's crazy to me.
Well, I think it's interesting that your example was Will Smith, who probably could take care of everybody on the phone and not even know about it coming out of his account. You probably could support us off the royalties in the summertime, So, it's not a problem for him and his situation to support his
ex-wife financially. So there's way enough money for it to go around in the Smith household, so I'm sure that's why they don't have those same problems. But once again, I go back to what I said when we started. I think it goes back to, I don't even think women should be talking about what I should be doing with the women in my life. I think we need to talk about what women would do with the men in their life, and we would dissect that differently instead of trying to tell the men what and how we should organize the women in our lives.
Well, that's the question I posed. I did say I asked the team if it was a male, if it was a female, and we were looking at the individuals in her life, because it's not just about the opposite sex in your life. It's about the different people in your life. So if it was a female, what would the roles be, right? Like, I mean, what would the priority be? Would it be her husband would come first, then her child would come next, then her parent would come next, then a sibling, and then her baby daddy? Like, either way, whether it was a male or female, that was the question.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is I don't think women should be even interjecting on how the man has organized the women in his life and questioning.
Well, I think that's important, though, because it impacts the relationship, Steve. Like, if your baby mama is before me, if I was with someone who had a baby mama, now I got an issue with that. And I'm selfish, and I'm the only child, for those who don't people know. So that might be my only child syndrome stuff. But, yes, we would have to talk about why your baby mama is first, because that's different than saying why is your child first, right? Like, that's different. That's your child.
But once again, I guess what I'm saying from a male standpoint, I would have the same problems that you're discussing, but I just feel like we're overemphasizing the standpoint of from a male perspective. That's all. Like, I think we need to get into these relationships, and maybe that's another show and another meme for the baby daddies and your daddy and all of that type of stuff versus, you know, and maybe this is just how I've set my life up. Hey, this is the order. You can like it or not, and if not, that's fine.
Yeah, but like, I think that's more of a you thing. That's a you thing. You don't want anybody to tell you anything. But
no, you don't get a vote on the order of how I've set my life up. If this is how I've done it, you can ask me, but you know, these are the conditions and reasons why I've arrived here before you came. So, you know, we can entertain some of your opinions, but you know, like, you don't have no vote.
What do you mean she doesn't have a vote? If you're in a relationship with someone and the other relationships that you have with other people in your life prevent you from being there for your mate, you don't think that's a problem?
I've never had that problem previously. So, you know, the way I've set up my relationships with the women in my life, that's never been any of my problems. So, you know, and once again, you know, as we talk about setting up relationships and structures, you know, either it's going to be something that you can deal with or it's something you're going to have a conversation about. So, you know, once again, you know, maybe that person isn't for you.
Okay.
I don't know what Steve is on, but I don't know what he's on, but here's what I'm saying. Whether it is, if I put myself in this situation, you know, whether it's I'm looking at it from the point of view of a guy and how his order, or even if I put myself in the situation and I say, okay, my husband is first, and then my son, and then my daddy, and then my baby daddy, and then my brother. Like, I am very comfortable in being able to say that, and sometimes my baby daddy might come before my daddy, depending on what's going on, because now, of course, I'm just, like I said, I don't have any kids, so of course this is really like hypothetical. Maybe when you're in these situations it might look a little different, but you know, unless me and my baby daddy just have some kind of like really adversarial kind of thing going on, like he and I would see us as a team. Now, that doesn't mean that team excludes my husband because I would, of course, consult and talk to my husband about different things going on. But if baby daddy is in some kind of situation and I am in a position to step in some kind of way, I'm going to do that. And I wouldn't feel like that's any type of threat to my marriage or anything like that. That is, this is my co-parenting team partner, and I'm not going to leave him hanging.
I can agree with that, Fatima. I definitely would see that if I was in a situation like that, I would see me wanting to support that person. I don't know if I was, creating the list in my head and prioritizing who comes first, if I would move the baby mama up higher than where she is. But here's what comes to mind as I'm listening to you guys talk. From my clinical experience with clients, what comes up, and I think that this was left off of this list, is friends. Like, they didn't put that on the category. And I think it's important to add that to our category now, because I have sat with several clients, whether it was in couple session or individual sessions, and their mate wasn't having an affair with somebody, one person. Their mates and the way they described it was pretty much having an affair with their best friends. And what I mean by that is they spend more time with their friends. They engage more with their friends. Their friends appear to be more a priority than them. Not that it was anything sexual, but to that person in counseling, their issue was the friends came before them. And grant you, they would have said, oh, yeah, these were childhood friends, these are ride or dies. I understand that concept, but they're still coming in place of them. Like, when the person wasn't at work, instead of spending time with their mate, whether it was him or her, and I've had it both ways. I've had men say this and I've had women say it. They would choose to spend this time with their friends. When their friends, when they ask them to do something, they'll be like, yeah, I'll get it done, babe. But when their friends asked them to do something, they were on it like Jack Rabbit. I mean, so I think this category was left off because there's a lot of people who feel like they're in competitions in their relationship because of their mate friends. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that's a real thing. I've seen it. I've experienced it. And, yeah, I do think that that's a real thing. I think that, it's one of those things that you have to have, like, a conversation about. But across the board, and this is me who has been championing the baby mama and the baby daddy, I have never, ever, ever said that they should come ahead of the spouse. So whether it's a baby mama or a best friend, I'm concerned with that. Like, your mate should definitely always be first. And so if your mate is feeling like, somebody is coming in front of them, that deserves a conversation, and that partner should be open and not jump to feeling defensive and feeling like they need to explain or, expect some type of concession. I think that if your partner is telling you, I am not feeling like your priority, this other person seems to be the priority, I think that always needs to be taken seriously, and that they need to figure out how to rectify that situation.
Well, that's real interesting. I think also, and what I've seen, sometimes your mates are just awkward people, and they're socially awkward, and they don't get along with people. So that might be part of it as well, is that the mate doesn't have any friends. So, their spouse is their only friend. So there's a hypersensitivity because of the social awkwardness or the introvertedness, if a person's a high-level introvert, that it may be just something that they might be oversensitive about. Not saying that these things don't happen, but that is one of the scenarios that I've run across.
Well, hold that thought, because we're going to go to the phone line. Caller at 312, you're on the air.
Hello, Dr. God. Hello, Steve. How are you all?
How you doing,
Dr.
sir?
Rahim?
How are you?
I know you know it's more than Steve and Dr. Guy on this call.
Well, they were the only ones that came on my show. They were the only ones that came on my show. I
said I had a prior engagement. I said I would totally do it. I have a prior engagement.
Dr. God told me. How you doing, Sister Fatima? How you doing, Sister Fatima? How are you?
I'm doing good.
I'm listening to y'all conversation, and I'm kind of torn because I understand what Sister Fatima is saying. I think. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I think I understand what she's saying. But at the same time, I understand what Steve is saying, I think. And since I do have a child, even though he's 26 now, it was a long journey between his mom and myself. As a matter of fact, last year she was going through some financial struggles, and since I was moving back to Chicago, I made the suggestion that she come and move in with us. We got 3 bedrooms, okay? So she's our roommate. Now, the thing is this. The way I look at the list, the child needs and the baby mama, as it's called, needs are different. I'm looking at the list as it's saying personal stuff for the baby mother, not stuff that's including the child. Because like when my son was staying with his mom during the times that he was staying with her, and she said that she needed money for the light bill, I looked at it like that was for my son, not for her. If she said she needed gas money to get to work, I looked at it as that's for my son, not for her. However, if she said she needed cigarettes, I looked at it like that's for her. So I did pay more than $20 a month. So, but like I look at it too, to look at the child separately, all the baby mama needs will be hers personally. So it's like I understand what she's saying, that if she's going through financial struggle, you don't want your child's co-parent, to go through that because that can impact the child. But
correct.
If I had $500 and I had to give $500 to each one of the people, and I had to choose in a hierarchical way on who I was going to give it to, the baby mama probably would be last on the list.
Well, thank you, Dr. Rahim.
Okay. You all take care.
Thank you.
You too.
I'm not mad at that.
Hold that thought. Dr. Rahim.
Yes.
Did we lose him already? Oh, Dr. Rahim.
Yes.
We were on your show. Steve and I did your show this past Monday. So
yes.
I know you're going to have some upcoming shows. So how can people catch that?
Basically, they can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dr. Malik Rahim, and they can catch the shows. It's not so much as far as good as you all show, but it's just me kind of talking about educational things and mental health things as far as it will impact the community, and trying to eliminate the stigma in the community as far as counseling. So I talk about, and then like if you're a student trying to learn how to be a counselor, I talk about different things like different theoretical orientations and different dynamics, like talking about different personality disorders and kind of educating the public on that. So it's kind of like an educational entertainment type of format.
Perfect. So everyone, you guys, if you're listening and you want to catch more of Dr. Rahim, subscribe to his YouTube channel at Dr. Malik Rahim. Thanks, Dr. Rahim, for listening.
All right, you take care.
You too. All right, Fatima, I'm sorry. You're going to respond.
Yeah, I definitely can appreciate what he's saying, which is what I was trying to get at. Like, you know, if we talking about supporting a cigarette habit, of course I'm not saying like, oh, every little thing that comes up with the baby mama or the baby daddy, you need to do something or fix it. You know, and when he said, if I had $500 and I would give it to any people on the list, well, yeah, I can see the baby mama being the last person you're going to give the $500 to if you have an extra $500. But what I'm saying is, if you have an extra $500 and the baby mama's lights got cut off, not for any false reason, she doing what she's supposed to do, but she got laid off, to just be like, sink or swim, baby mama, because, you know, you last on my list, even though I got this extra $500, it's just crazy to me.
Well,
Okay.
let me jump in there, Dr. Guy.
Go ahead.
First of all, I don't never have an extra $500. You know, there's no such thing as extra money. And secondly, you know, I just can't support that. You know, like we can get Junior over here and you'll get your situation together, but that's just me. You know, because I'm not creating a situation where that is acceptable behavior. You know, once those parameters are set, then that's going to be an expectation.
And again, I think that, you know, we're talking about the baby mama, but it's not just the baby mama who gets placed in a higher up, in a role higher up, I guess, on the hierarchy. The ones that seem to create more problems in relationships are when any person is placed as a priority over the mate, the wife, the husband. Those seem to be the situations that cause problems. And they happen very often, and sometimes it's that person's mother, sometimes it's that person's, again, circle of friends or one friend. And so those are the times where people have conflict. And Steve, what I think I heard you say is you don't think it's nobody's business to talk about that, but it has to be discussed, because if not, you continue to experience problems in the relationship. But I know you want to respond, but before you respond, well, we have a comment. And the comment from this listener, she says, certain things will change, but my friends have been there for me longer than my spouse. I will consider my spouse's feelings in this situation. So, Steve, you're still staying with they should not be discussing who is in what role in their relationship. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is you can inquire, but, you know, you don't have a vote to move somebody up or down, you know, as these situations occur.
Wait, Steve, you say you don't have a vote? She doesn't have a vote to move them up or down?
No, you can't tell me how I need to structure the hierarchy of what I have on my side. You can tell me what makes you comfortable or uncomfortable, but, you know, that's not something that I'm going to even entertain. You know, I haven't had any problems.
Okay, let me ask this question.
You haven't had any problems.
Wait, hold on, Steve. Let me ask this question. The question, okay, when I said you don't think this is something that they should discuss, I'm almost sure I said something that should be discussed. What you gave me back is she has no vote in it, and she can't tell me how to prioritize people in my life. That was never the question. That was never the comment, but that's what you heard. So what you heard was...
Initially, I said that we could discuss it, but that wasn't going to change the hierarchy of how I said things. Like, then why are you discussing it with her? Because the whole point in having a discussion with your mate is to make things better. What's the point of discussing it, but you ain't going to change the situation? I didn't say that we couldn't alter some of the outcomes of the situations, but that's still going to be how I view the things. Like, if I have a great relationship with my sister and a poor one with my mother, then that's not going to be something that's going to be debatable or to change. It can be how you feel about my interactions with these people, but you're not going to be able to make me have a position for my mother that's higher than my sister if that's already been established. That's what I'm saying.
So those are two different things, right? So I agree with that. I agree with you can't make a person change how they prioritize people in your life. I agree with that. But what I was talking about specifically is in a relationship. Let's say you're married to this person and your mate comes to you and says, I don't feel like a priority in your life because X, Y, and Z is there. Boo-Boo Kitty, Lisa, Felisa, I don't know. I'm just saying. Your mate comes to you and tells you, I don't feel like a priority, and it's very evident that you do spend a lot of time with these other people or the person. My statement was, don't you think that needs some discussion? That's not about saying these people can't be important in your mate's life, but if your mate feels like they're more important than them, shouldn't that call for action?
Once again, like I said, it depends on the mate and the situation. Like, my mate may be highly introverted and doesn't have any friends. So the 2 hours a week I spend with my friends. Though. Well, I'm just telling you that this is what's occurred in my life. Like, I can't speak on things that haven't occurred. So, if we're just talking about me personally, like, I would look at some of those factors, and then based on those factors, that would determine if we were moving forward or not. Like, if she's just introverted or she's jealous, and the 2 hours a week I spend with my friends to her is too much for her, then she might not be the right person for me. So, that is just, how I look at it. We have to look at everything from a holistic standpoint. If I look at the time frame and it's, excessive, then that might need to be adjusted. But, we're talking a lot of hypotheticals, so I can only go off of, how the things that have occurred to me.
Oh, all right. Well, I have scenarios that are not hypotheticals where the mate has told their partner, spouse, wife, husband, that I don't feel like I'm a priority. And in the example that you gave, I just happen to go out once a week and spend 2 hours with my friends, that has never came into the picture. And I'm talking about in real life scenarios, in real life situations where I've heard people talk. Ain't nan one of them complained about their mate going away for 2 hours. In fact, they want their mates to go away for 2 hours out the week because that gives them their time. I'm talking about the ones who repeatedly put these other people before them, and it is very clear to them, based on their experiences, that they're not a priority. That's how they receive it. So as far as time, if they had to put a percentage on time, they might say, my mate spends 20% of their open free time with me, and the remaining 80 is spent with whomever these other people are. Those are the scenarios that I'm talking about when we talk about, when you put someone else over another person or over your mate. I was saying, so what do you do about that? Because there's a lot of our listeners that are in some of those scenarios. And so what do they do to improve those situations? You might not have had them see, but I can tell you for a fact that there are some individuals in those relationships right now, and they're not happy about that. So
we also need to look at, like we always those 5 love languages. Initially, when the relationship started, time may not have been as much of a factor because the love language was defined in a different way. But as time has progressed, maybe the love language has changed to time. So, it's just about reevaluating.
But one of the love languages should be acts of service. This person may not do anything for their mate, and they do everything for everybody else when they're asked to do it. So, I can.
Well, once again, just revising, taking time out to look at the relationship from a top down and what it needs to grow, and just address it from that standpoint. Whether it's the time, the words, the acts of service, whatever those things may be that have gotten misaligned. Whether it's something that's changed or it's just something that's needed, it needs to be addressed. So.
You know, I love the 5 love languages, and I often talk about them in my sessions with couples all the time. But I don't want to just make assumptions that everybody is familiar with the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman. And so I do think that what you said, Steve, would be helpful for individuals if they are in a relationship currently and they're experiencing this. It doesn't matter who, you know, however they prioritize it, but if they feel like something is missing, it could be potentially because their love language is not being met. But obviously, in order to communicate that, you have to know your love language. So the love languages, if people are not familiar with them, the first one is words of affirmation. Like for you, in order for you to receive love, you hear it in sounds, like I love you, right? You need the words. And 2, which Steve, you just mentioned, is quality. So you like spending time with individuals, and that's your love language. 3 is receiving gifts. 4 is just acts of service, and then 5 is physical touch. And you could have more than one love language, but typically you have a primary love language. So I'm glad that you brought that up and mentioned it. Fatima.
Hey.
You got kind of quiet over there. Just checking in on you.
Oh, no, I'm sitting here detangling my hair and listening to this foolishness that Steve is saying. You know, I think it's also important to say that, like, we're talking about people, but there's also jobs. People place their jobs in front of their spouse all the time.
Yes,
and
you are
that
absolutely correct.
Feels just as horrible. You know, I like to tell people when I meet a guy, I let them know up front, I am not a stage 5 clinger, but I'm a strong 4. And I like a lot of together time and a certain amount of attention, and I need to hear the words. And, you know, some people don't have the emotional bandwidth to meet that, you know. And so if it's a situation where, you know, the person is saying, I need to be able to spend time with you to feel connected to you. I need to be able to talk to you to feel connected to you. And then that partner is prioritizing these other things where you see them having time to do all this other stuff, but not time to do you. And especially when you've articulated exactly what it is that would make you feel connected, and then it still doesn't happen, well, that's a problem. That's absolutely problematic in that relationship. And it's not about somebody controlling you or rearranging what is a priority in your life. But if you are going to show up to your relationship, part of showing up to your relationship is having a desire to meet your partner's needs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I totally agree with that. To show up in a relationship, you do have to be able to meet your partner's needs. And if you're putting somebody else above them, then most likely you are not meeting their needs. And that most likely is going to create conflict and cause problems. Steve, do you agree with that, or you disagree?
I think, once again, you know, relationships, there are a multitude of reasons for a multitude of things happening, and I think that's why at a certain point you just need to take a step back and evaluate how you've arrived at the places you've arrived at. You know, whether the person who needs time, but their, you know, spouse is working a lot of overtime, so they feel neglected. There are often reasons for these things. So, you know, just need to take a deep dive into those things and see if you can come up with some type of solution. But it's accurate.
Oh, I can't believe we all agreed on a topic today on this show. Who would have thought that would have happened? It happens very rarely. So rarely. So, you guys, one of the things that I don't want to leave out of this is that, Fatima, you kind of talked about it earlier, like that based on the context of the situation, people in your life change. And I think that's probably the most important thing, right? When you think about where we place people in our lives and why we place them there, it's not static. And so because of that, I think we get stuck when we feel like, oh, you're going to be here and you're always going to be here, and that's how I'm going to treat you regardless. But that's not reality. Reality says that depending on what your needs are, depending on what season you're in or what season I'm in, these roles will change. And so these relationships are very fluid. And I think we get stuck, and it creates problems when we don't want to experience relationships as being fluid. What has your experience been? Uh-oh, Fatima, did I lose you?
Yes, what did you say?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you hear the last question?
No.
So the last question was, I said, we're talking about all of these relationships, but what seems to be the biggest challenge is that in relationships with whoever it's going to be, your mate, your child, your baby mama, whoever these people are, we see these relationships as being very static versus what you said, you have to be able to see them in context, that these relationships are more fluid depending on the situation, depending on the season that you're in with these people, those relationships change. And I was asking you, what were your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, it is very fluid. Like, and I think that my view is the only role that shouldn't change is that of your spouse. Your spouse should always come first before the job, the friends, the kids. I think a lot of people make the mistake of placing their kids before their partner. You got your kids for a short amount of time, and then hopefully they're going to launch and go off and live their own lives, and then you're going to be sitting in the house with this person who you don't recognize anymore because you didn't continue to nourish and nurture that relationship. So the spouse, in my opinion, always comes first before parent, all that situation. That relationship is fixed. But all of this other stuff, absolutely, I think that it's fluid. It depends on different situations, like, the context. And so people will shift and move up and down the list depending on where you are in your life, where you are in your relationship with them, and what the situation is that's going on. So those things are going to change and look very different. And I think that it should.
Oh, Fatima, you said it when you place your kids before your mate. This one comes up so often in session, especially for couples who have been married for a short period of time and then a baby is introduced early on in their marriage. It completely changes the dynamics. I see it on that side, but then I also see it, okay, fast forward, now these kids are like teenagers, and one has given like 100% to being the parent, and the other one has kind of been like the support parent. And now that the support parent is noticing, oh, I can continue to be the support parent, the other parent who has been 100% teen parent is realizing that, oh, these kids don't need me as much anymore. So all that time that I was giving to them, I don't have to do it because they don't need me. So now I want my mate, right? Like I want to reconnect to my mate. But my mate who was in the supporting role is like, no, that's not what I want. Like, because I've been in the supporting role, I've been able to do my own thing and do X, Y, and Z. So you go back to being, 100% parent, and then you see this conflict because they're both on two different pages because one parent consistently put the needs of their child over their mate every single time, and that caused major conflict. So I'm so glad that you brought that example up.
Thank you. Absolutely. And you know what else? Like in blended families, and I noticed this also with some of the people who were responding to that photo who had children from a previous relationship and now are in a new relationship or marriage with someone else, and they're like, well, my kid comes first, and because you have this child and you don't want the child to feel like you are somehow placing the partner ahead of him, but there is a way to do that so that kid understands that they are still a priority without flat out saying my partner is second to my kid.
Absolutely. And
because if you go ahead, Dr. Guy.
No, go ahead.
If you've gotten to the point where you feel like this is someone you're going to marry and you're going to spend the rest of your life with, like that kid is going to launch and go off and live their own lives. Do you really want to be in a relationship where your spouse is always feeling like they come in second place or second best to your kid, who, you're only going to be parenting them for a short amount of time because at some point you're moving more into the role of consultant, right? You're a parent consultant. So they're going to go off and do their own thing. And now, you've introduced this level of distance into your relationship. That's really a huge mistake.
Right. And then you begin to see that whole empty nest syndrome, whereas the kid has gone off to college, or all of the kids now are off to college, and the couple is left feeling like, who are you? Like, we've been married. And so they then, find themselves in counseling or struggling because 20 years later they're like, I don't even know who I'm married to. And so I definitely think that creates some conflict along the way that couples can hopefully resolve before it gets to that point. Because now they're 20 years invested, and they're either like, look, we already got 20 years in, we might as well stay. But they're not happy. Or they have 20 years invested, and because they realize the kids are no longer there keeping the bond together, keeping them with a bond in the relationship, they find themselves getting divorced after 20-plus years. So I definitely think that it's important for couples to talk about these scenarios if they aren't, if they don't feel like they are a priority, but also understand that depending on the situation, you might not be a priority that day because someone else takes precedence, or it might even be that week or that month. And I think that's kind of hard for us to deal with when we're not always at the center. Some people deal with it a whole lot better than others, but that's just part of that cycle of having relationships with people that our needs vary at different times. Doesn't matter whether it's your mother, your sister, your brother, your baby mama, baby daddy, all of that kind of falls into that circle. So, you guys, as we prepare to wrap up, I'm going to get your final thoughts. And Fatima, I'm going to come to you first. What would you like our listeners to close out with today?
Here's what I would like to leave our listeners with. When you are in a serious relationship with someone, you've probably expressed love, that when you say to someone or when someone says to you, I love you, what that implies is that you are unique to me. You are irreplaceable to me. You are the one I need, and you are the one I choose. And so if that is what this person is saying to you, there is no need to feel threatened by a baby mama or a baby daddy who might be in a position at one point, or maybe not, but who, if at some point they find themselves in a position of needing some assistance, this is not a threat to your place in their life or your relationship. And it is absolutely okay to not treat this person like they are an outside pariah. They are a parent of the child that you all should be caring for and loving.
All right. Thank you very much, Fatima. Steve, what about you? Final thoughts for today.
Well, I would like to think that I lived in the same world as Fatima. I don't. So my advice is going to be a little different. And the way I was brought up, life is a fight, and you fight for a lot of things. And before every fight, when the boxers go in the back and before they come out, somebody is going to tell them, guard yourself at all times, whether it's their trainer, whether it's the referee. And today it's going to be me telling you all to guard yourself at all times. Now, people say a lot of things, and they do mean them. But just because I love you doesn't mean I won't hurt you accidentally. So whereas you need to be cognizant of baby mamas, baby daddies, mamas, sisters, friends, and we're not talking about a fight itself. What we're talking about is a relationship, and that is something that's truly special, and you need to guard your relationship at all times. So be cognizant of these people who are in your significant other's life, measure their objectives as well as their intentions. So once again, guard yourself at all times.
That's
I agree with
comment.
Steve.
Guard yourself.
I agree that a relationship definitely you should be guarding your relationship and keeping it safe. But just remember, everyone who's listening, Steve, per his own words, was raised by reptiles. So, just take the meat from his words and throw the rest away.
Oh, my goodness. I forgot Steve was raised by reptiles. But that's okay because we need that experience. Yeah. And so, for those of us that was raised by mammals, he kind of helps balance us off. So
I'm trying to help y'all not get eaten by the reptiles.
That's what I said. Those of us that was raised by mammals, we need to understand living in the wild. So on that note, you guys, thank you for tuning in. I want to remind everyone before we sign off to go to my YouTube page and subscribe. There will be videos coming soon. So don't forget to do that. Also follow me on Dr. Tanisha Guy at Instagram. And real soon you guys will be seeing us live as we host these shows. And so make sure you guys pass it on, tell a friend, tell everyone about Dr. Guy's Gumbo Talk. Everyone have a blessed day, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.